We have very special guest today, Tony Howard. It's in our office here. Tony is the president of the Loudoun Chamber of Commerce, and he's the executive director of the Loudoun Chamber Foundation. Tony, we are so excited to have you here today. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and thank you for inviting me to be on your show.
Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your role as a president at the Loudoun Chamber?
Sure. I'm 58 years old, so I can't say a little bit about myself because there's a lot that's gone on. But I've been I'll start with my chamber career. So I've been in the Chamber of Commerce business since 1999, or 23 years, a little more than 23 years. Started with the Fairfax County Chamber of Commerce back in March of 1999. In all candor, I came to that job thinking it would be a stepping stone to something different, perhaps working in corporate communications, because I have a journalism degree and a public relations and communications background. And so that was my idea. And then after several years, I forget when it was exactly, but it was probably about 2 or 3 years, I realized I was really enjoying working in the chamber business. So I decided to stick it out. And in late 2005, this position opened up and I applied for it. And then several months later, in 2006, I got it. And so I've been here in Loudoun County. My wife and my son moved here in 2006. My son is now off at college, and my wife has a great career at Howard Hughes Medical Institute there in Ashburn, and we just absolutely love Loudoun County. Absolutely adore Loudoun County. It's been a great place to live and to work and to play. And I was just thinking today, one of the things I love about my job is that we get things done and we have fun doing it. And that's been the story that I enjoy telling.
And that's why I can say that's why you are the best chamber in the region. I love that. I love you guys. So, can you tell us a little bit about the Loudoun Chamber Foundation and what it is and how and when did you get it started? Guys?
Sure, I'd love to talk about the Loudoun Chamber Foundation. So the Chamber's Board of Directors approved the foundation actually it was at the December board meetings just before Christmas in 2014. We really got operational in 2015, and so been around for that duration, so almost 8 years by the end of this year. And they founded it because, we have been and continue to be very, very blessed, be very, very successful as an organization. And we were looking to take, a certain percentage of that success, financial success, and reinvest it back into our community. And we considered that question very long and hard, and we thought about things from buying a building to other activities. We thought, let's start a foundation. And let's use the funds that are into the foundation to support the nonprofits that are making Loudoun County such a wonderful place to live, work, and play, as it has been for my family, as it has been for your family. Let's make it for everyone's family. And within the mission of a Chamber of Commerce, that's fully aligned because that quality of life is our greatest economic asset. When smart and talented people want to live here and want to bring their families here, they create jobs and they create economic opportunity. And I think the proof is evident as you job around. If you live here and you're active and you're engaged and you know what's going on in Loudoun County, it's really because of the people. And so we strive to make certain that our neighbors, our friends, our residents are well taken care of. And so that's what the Loudoun Chamber Foundation is all about. We're really proud of the work that we've been able to do in what is a relatively short period of time. And I'd like to as well mention that our foundation is actually a fund within the Community Foundation for Loudoun and Northern Fauquier counties. And what that's allowed us to do, as well as the other funds, I'm not sure how many funds they have, but they have quite a few, is to be able to do the philanthropic work that we do very efficiently, very cost effectively. And there's reasons why, and to say sit down with your lawyer, your accountant, and your tax advisor to go through all those reasons, but I will tell you they've been absolutely wonderful to work with. They just make it so much easier. So we don't have to hire an accountant and a lawyer and go through a lot of other regulatory maneuvers to make the foundation legal and compliant at all times. They're the experts, they do it all. All we focus on is raising the money and supporting our nonprofits the very best that we can.
Wow, this is amazing. How many grants do you make each year, and how do you decide which organization to support? And what is the process for a nonprofit that might be interested in applying for the Loudoun Chamber Foundation grant?
I'll answer the first part. That's actually a question. So I'll answer the first part. How many do we decide? That actually does depend, and it has changed over time. So as the foundation has grown up, when it was new, there wasn't as much money available for both giving away, so it was for grant making. We're also very much interested in building the endowment. So think of a nest egg. Think of it as a savings account that will exist, because we want to support nonprofits today, but we also want the Loudoun Chamber Foundation to be a generational legacy to support this community long after I'm gone. And when by gone, I mean retired, not dead, but maybe both. So it does vary, but I would say in recent years, and it did change a little bit during COVID too as well, we're usually around 8 nonprofits giving away somewhere around $25,000 to $32,000 a year in grants. So grants are about $4,000 on average. You asked, how do we decide how to do it? So we have an application process. We also have, and I really recommend this, and I don't know if it's mandatory, but we think it's great idea, good governance practice. We have a giving policy. So the policy is endorsed by the board of directors, and so we have criteria focused on economic development, healthy community, public safety, and other areas too as well. And so when a nonprofit applies, we say, okay, are they aligned with our policy or strategy for giving? Do they align with our priorities? And so as we look at those, that's how we view the applications. And then we have a committee that's made up of the leadership of the chamber. And so it's the president, the chairman, media past chair, first and second vice chairs. And generally we have a nonprofit professional who is not applying for a grant. A nonprofit can't earn a grant 2 years in a row. That's one of our rules. So sometimes we'll invite somebody who earned a grant last year and come in there and sort of be that subject matter expert from the outside looking in. And then we make recommendations that the board of directors then approves. The structure we have at the Community Foundation is that they have the final word. But again, they will judge it basically on is that nonprofit, a certified nonprofit, are they registered with the IRS, and all their paperwork legal, and all those types of things. And they usually make their turnaround approval in about 24 hours. So that's how we decide what to do. And forgive me, what was the third part of the question?
And the last one, how the process for the nonprofit, if somebody from any nonprofit listen to us, they're interested to apply, what is the process?
We will open up the application process in October. One of the things we learned over time is it's best to simplify the application process as much as possible. So, and only ask for that material that we really need to make the best possible decision. So if you're operating a nonprofit, you're an executive director, or perhaps you're a volunteer leader, you should be applying for grants in multiple sources. And so we set up our application so that they can literally just take a grant application that they've already completed and just turn it around to ours and do so. We don't want to make it any extra work on them. That's not our intention at all. We're not trying to make it super easy. We are asking for really important information from them. We want to know, where will the money go? How do they support our community? How do they support the clients that they serve? How long have they been in business? Information about their board of directors. We do ask for their tax returns, things of that nature. That's just really just more about just making certain that we're certifying that they're, even though we know many of these folks. I mean, these are chamber members.
Yes,
we know many of them, but we still want to make certain we're making the best possible decisions because, a foundation like ours, and the Community Foundation too as well, we're subject to, federal regulations, IRS and otherwise. So we have an obligation to make certain that we're doing it as exceptionally well as possible. So, but we're not looking to make it any harder than it needs to be.
Yeah, wow, this is amazing. Do you remember how many application do you get and it is once a year?
It is once a year. So
okay.
The general timeline is that the application process will open up sometime in early October. It'll be open for a month, and so it'll close in early November. Then we work with the Community Foundation. Again, they're wonderful to organize all the materials because there's a lot of attachments to the application. And then we send those to the grants committee, to the selection committee, excuse me. And then they have a certain amount of time. It's not a lot because we have to make our decision by early December. So and Thanksgiving's in between, the other holidays, and so. But they generally have about a week or two, and then we get together and we discuss the applications and we come up to a consensus decision. Like we agree on these are the best ones to support this year. And so the process for them is that they'll find out. I believe we announced them in early January. And then we also invite them to the annual meeting, which takes place in late January. They will have already received their grant check from us, but we will invite them there to sort of celebrate them, I guess, one more time.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it starts in October, kind of ends in late January, but there's a lot of time in between there to get the work done that we need to get done.
Yeah, it's awesome. Can you give us some example of some of your recent grant recipients and the work they do in the community? That's why you really, maybe one of them, just or two or whatever you feel comfortable. And this is exactly why you choose to give the grant.
Sure. So I printed out the list before because there's so many. We've given out 48 grants, and as I said, A nonprofit cannot earn one 2 years in a row, so I believe we've given 39 to 40 nonprofits themselves. So some of them have, and quite a few actually at this point, have earned more than one grant. In fact, in 2 or 3 cases, they've earned 3 over those years. Just can't win them 2 years in a row. So I'm just going to look at last year, and if you don't mind, I'd like to pick on 2 of those, because we gave away 8, and you're familiar with all of them. A Farm Less Ordinary, okay? Yeah. So it's a startup nonprofit. It's not much more than a handful of years old, okay? Started by 2 parents whose son was, I believe, autistic, and he had aged out. He had gotten too old for schools and other government programs to support him. So they decided, they're not farmers, they decided to start a farm. And they are helping young men and young women in the same position as their son learn skills, learn how to grow produce, how to sell that produce, how to work as a team, you know, how to get the job done. And so they're experiencing rewarding, fulfilling work, earning a paycheck because of a Farm Less Ordinary and the support they receive. So we love that because it's a great quality of life story. You know, so if parents who live in our community have a child that has intellectual and developmental disabilities, it takes up a lot of their time and attention. And knowing that they can have a life just as rewarding and fulfilling as yours and mine, and knowing that they're contributing to society and just enjoy it, is a quality of life issue, right? And so it's great. So Farm Less Ordinary is one of our favorites. And then I'm going to cite the Loudoun Abused Women's Shelter. You know, the issue of domestic violence is a scourge in our community, as it is in Fortunate, right? And so the Loudoun Abused Women's Shelter, I believe their parents' name is Loudoun Citizens for Social Justice, just does the most amazing work on a shoestring budget to support women and children in our community that have been victims of such domestic violence. And so again, quality of life, a law and order issue, an economic issue. And so we've been proud to support them multiple times. I know I can list the other 40 or so, but we don't have that much time for the show.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just giving you 1 or 2 examples. So, can you tell us about the impact the foundation had on the organization and program it has been supported?
So, an impact on the organizations that we support?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I think, you know, the examples I just gave of the Farm Less Ordinary and Loudoun Abused Women's Shelter, Laws is a little bit more established in terms of time. It's been around for longer than, but I think that it does 2 things for them. So the financial resources are essential, right? So they have bills to pay. They support their clients. You know, their clients are very different, but they have needs, and it takes financial resources to be able to support them, whether it's programmatically or through other means too as well. It also gives them a little bit of extra marketing exposure too as well. So we get to tell their story, which we're so proud to do. We're able to tell their story to the Chamber of Ordinance. And so we had 8 recipients last year. We will tell the story of those 8 recipients this year, and we do it again next year. It'll be 8 more. So they get a little bit of extra attention for the good work that they're doing in our community. They get some financial resources, and we believe that is making an impact, and we're proud of that impact. It's small compared to the overall need and overall contributions they're receiving from so many other folks here in our lab community. We're about one small part of that. We're proud to be here.
How the Chamber Foundation got funded, Tony?
How was it funded? Yes, so that's great. So a large part of the funds have come from the Chamber's general fund itself. So we've had it, like I said before, we've had some very fortunate, we've had some very successful years. So the Board of Directors has directed money from the Chamber's general fund, our corporate operating budget, over to the foundation, which again is a fund of the community foundation. We do a lot of private fundraising too as well. Hopefully you and the folks watching the show are familiar with the Give Choose fundraising campaign.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
We've been doing better and better with that every year. So we raise some money through that. Several foundations have been very supportive. The Claude Moore Charitable Foundation has been supportive. Other private companies in our community, so many that if I name one, I'll forget one, and I'll feel bad about that, so I won't. But have made direct contributions to it. Our Young Professionals Committee at the Chamber. They're having a cornhole tournament on October 1st. This will be the 3rd annual year.
And you'll be there.
And you'll be there. And so you can get a team for $100. $99 of that will go towards the Loudoun Chamber Foundation. Wow. We have like very, very small expenses for like signs and name tags and a few other things. But Old Ox Brewery is giving us the space for the event, not charging us anything to be there. And, you know, like I said, 99% of the money raised that day will go. So the answer to your question is we use multiple avenues to raise funds for the Loudoun Chamber Foundation. And we're open to other ideas too as well, because, you know, as I said, the need is great, but we are interested in supporting our neighbors and our friends and our families today while building that generational legacy for the future. And that's going to take some resources.
Absolutely, and time.
And time.
effort and all that. So any key initiative are you hoping to accomplish in the next 3 years, Tony? I know you're doing excellent job with the chamber and
Yes.
everything, and your team, your staff we can't appreciate them enough, really. But what you have any accomplishment?
So for the foundation, I'm glad you said 3 years. So for the foundation specifically, our goal is to grow the endowment by the end of 2024. So that's actually less than, a little more than 2 years, less than 3, to $300,000. Right now it is around 160 and change. I believe it's 166 or 168. Forgive me. And so that's going to take a whole lot of work. We may fall a little short of that, but we're going to try really hard. And we want to make $50,000 a year in grants. They call it pass through, but grants a year. So as I said before, we're in about, I think we did $32,000 last year. So we've got some work to do to get there. But we want to get to $50,000 a year in annual giving and an endowment of $300,000 by the end of the year, 2024, so the beginning of 2025. And so those are our goals. They're ambitious goals, but we think we can reach them.
I hope so. And for all the audience right now who is listening to us, businesses, how can we get involved on the Chamber Foundation mission to support this nonprofit? What can you tell us?
So there's several ways that you can do so. You can support the Cornhole tournament. You can support us during Gift Shoes, which last year was in March. You can actually go onto the Community Foundation's website, find our fund, and support directly. Just send a check. I was just looking at a report today. It's not a huge sum, but we'll probably raise about $1,000 this year from members who join or renew their membership in the Loudoun Chamber. We give them an option. It's not mandatory. They can give us $200, $25. I think the largest contribution of this year was $500. And so we're grateful for any amount. So as a chamber member, when your annual renewal cycle comes up, you have an option of donating to the Chamber Foundation any amount that you choose.
And any dollar, any amount help.
Or you can just give me a call at 571-209-9020, and we'll get you set up. Or send me an email at thoward@loudonchamber.org. We will figure out a way to help you act upon your generosity to support our foundation any way that you can.
Thank you, Tony, for everything. Thank you for your time today, and we appreciate you. And hopefully you will meet your goal, and maybe you exceed it more. Maybe you will make your budget next 3 years, and maybe more. We hope so, because honesty is we are all in this together to help the people in need. That's very important. All the businesses should be involved in this. That's what I think.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.